Welcome to the What If podcast with your hosts, Spencer Worth Davis and Ryan Copperrood.
What's up? It's the What If podcast, guys.
We're talking about pyramids this week because what could possibly be weirder
than pyramids? But wait, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was pleasant.
Yeah, what'd you do?
I hung out with my dad and my wife's parents.
Nice.
And we ate some food and talked about stuff.
That's tight.
It was cool.
That's tight.
It was cool.
I like it.
You went on a little journey again, didn't you?
I did, man. I did the math. I've been gone for 16 of the 27 days in November so far.
Well, goddamn.
Which means I've only been in the state and home for 10 of the total days this month, which feels a little bit rowdy in my brain and body, but I'm back and not traveling for a while.
And 9 of those 10 days we've been recording podcasts.
It fucking feels like it. But that's because we love you. I love you. But we love...
you are observant as well as beautiful.
Aw, thanks. That's our first Chris Farley appearance on the podcast.
I don't know why it took me a damn near a year to get Chris Farley on the machine board sound guy over here.
Yeah,
but.
It also too, like, you know, other than us pulling Mel Gibson's "I'm Insane with Anger" and a couple other random drops, we don't stray too deep into the movie quote world. But I feel like we could do better about that. A lot of memes.
Feels like I might have to rewatch a bunch of Chris Farley movies this week.
Call
it research.
And write them off on our taxes when we buy the DVDs or Blu-rays.
Yeah, I'm sure. Hey, if you have any Chris Farley movie on DVD or VHS, email me. I'll give you my address, and then you should send it to me.
Dude,
who's got Black Sheep on Blu-ray?
We need it. Oh wow, we need
I don't even have a Blu-ray player.
Yeah, I don't either. We need a PO box, so just in case people can send us stuff. We've gotten a couple things, and that's amazing from y'all who have sent us stuff so far. But
I love you guys. I don't quite trust most of you enough to give you my home address. I probably would, but then I'd later be like, what was I doing? Maybe that dude is weird.
I'd
all of you are probably a little bit weird because you listen to this.
Because you're like us.
Yeah.
I told my girlfriend that someone was going to send us something on the show. And she was like, no, she goes, how are they going to send it to you? And I go, oh, well, we gave them our address. And she was like,
to be fair, oh wait, you have also given out your address, right?
Yeah. For
the nesting sharks that we still don't have.
Yeah, but I figured out why we don't have them. And it
know your own address.
It involves a hospital visit from from our one of our favorite listeners, Megan. So
it wasn't a shark attack, was it?
It was not a shark attack. The giant nesting sharks did not come to life and attack Megan.
Is she okay?
She is okay. She is. She's just. She's in the process of having a kid and
sure
having.
I guess that's slightly more important.
Yeah. So we will be. I messaged with Megan a little bit. We will be very patient as we patiently await.
Speak for yourself. I want those sharks.
Nesting sharks get well and have a very healthy baby instead. But anyway, so I told my girlfriend that we were that someone wanted to send us something. And she was like, oh, how they send it to you? I said, oh, we gave it our address, and she goes, you gave out our address on the show? Like, knowing that we get like tens of thousands of downloads of this podcast every month, thinking that there are tons of people who somehow immediately know our home address. I was like, no.
She's going to go out to her car in the morning. There are going to be like 50 people waiting there like, hey, is Ryan up?
We wanted to ask him about aliens.
I got a question about UFOs.
Also, we brought a stack of movies he hasn't watched.
We're going to need the next 3 months to hang out with Ryan. Sorry.
Let's have him watch this one first. No, he's got to watch this one first.
We got to start with Super Troopers.
I've seen Super Troopers.
What about Starship Troopers?
I've also seen Starship Troopers.
Damn.
Yeah, boy.
God damn.
God damn. we still haven't pulled that Rick and Morty one.
Because you're just as good at it as Noob is. We don't need that one.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You are observant as well as beautiful.
I need to pull whenever you make
just for an affirmative.
Yeah, whenever you make a good point, just be like,
you are observant.
Wait. There we go.
So if your fingers are quick enough, you can get it in and out quick.
That's what she said.
Oh, boo.
That's right. We've sunk to the level of making That's What She Said jokes here on the What If podcast. And this is going to be our last week before I cancel our show.
We were going to cancel ourselves mid-episode.
I've thought about it every week since we started.
We hope you...
But here we are. This is what, 50 something.
50 something.
We're coming up on our year anniversary. What are we gonna do?
Man, I don't know.
Should we throw ourselves a party? Then it's January something, right? Didn't we launched sometime in January.
Was it like the last week of January that we dropped? We dropped 5 at a time to give people.
If you drop an
taste at
episode
once.
and no one downloads it, did you drop an episode?
I
think like only your sister listened to us in January of last year. We had like one download a month.
She was definitely supporting at that time. It's honestly,
we should,
kind of wild how far we've come, bro.
If you guys have ideas for our 1 year anniversary party episode, well, okay, how about this? We do owe people a Facebook Live episode now. Because we cracked the 100 ratings mark, then we promised the people a live episode on Facebook.
Comically, I was literally checking that exact fact.
Okay. Well, let's maybe on our anniversary, whatever day in January that is, we'll figure that out. I think it was like the 9th or something.
We'll do a 100%.
We'll do a party Facebook Live episode, and we'll just get hammered and hang out with you guys on Facebook.
Oh, I
and
thought
wear party hats.
Yeah. But I kind of also want to do like a real recorded episode one where we do like...
We'll do that one before we get drunk on Facebook Live.
That's true. Okay, I tell you what. We'll make the decisions about which questions we leave for... which questions we leave for the Facebook Live and which ones we'll do on the actual podcast for the 1 year anniversary. But if you guys want to have a question involved in either of them...
Well, on the Facebook Live thing, people can just show up live and ask us shit.
That's true, but we could also have some pre-prepared questions as well.
True.
So why don't we do this? At What If Pod, if you didn't know it already, is our Twitter, or hi@whatifpodcast.com. Just have the first word of your email subject line be anniversary, and then you can write whatever else you want.
It's going to freak me out. Don't put that in there.
Why not?
Think I forgot something or like...
You just had your anniversary. You'll be fine.
My memory is trash, bro. I think I just told the same story twice on the Patreon episode. I don't remember what I'm doing.
You didn't. It's all good. It was just in your head.
All right. I just think about balloons a lot, I guess. That's an inside joke for the Patreon listeners. Let's all right. Yeah, send us your questions for the 1 year.
We're coming up on it in about a month here, and that'll be fun. And we'll do a Facebook Live episode because you beautiful weirdos have given us over 100 5-star reviews on iTunes, which is amazing.
And 2 4-star reviews.
And somebody gave us like a 3 or something. I don't know.
We haven't gotten any actually like... I want somebody to just go in on how our show sucks.
Why do you hate us?
Yeah, we've gotten
maybe
zero.
No one does, man. Maybe
that's
we're
not
just
possible.
Maybe we're
they
likable.
Email me about it.
Maybe we're kind and likable, and we love our listeners, and we give them lots of free content.
Okay. We should talk about pyramids.
I heard we're talking about pyramids.
I have a section in my notes called Pyramid Basics. Should we start there?
I feel let's start at the very beginning.
I don't get that reference.
It's the very best place to start.
I'm going to start so you stop saying
That was like a preschool, I don't know, that was like from a TV show or something. Someone tell us where that
I missed
came
that.
from.
I didn't go to preschool. So pyramid is an extremely old, ancient design because it was easy to make really, really big structures with that design because all the weight is at the bottom. You can build really, really high up without having to have other more advanced forms of architecture.
You know, I'm going to keep it 1,000 with you. Never really thought about that before. That's why that was like such a popular thing back
That's
in the
why
day.
you don't see upside down pyramids very often. Because much more rare.
Much more difficult to balance.
Yeah, not very stable.
Yeah.
The largest pyramid by volume, do you know what it is?
Largest pyramid by volume?
Yep, pop quiz.
Oh, man. I probably incorrectly, but I thought that the largest pyramid in the Giza structure was the biggest pyramid in the world.
My mistake. However,
your mistake, bitch. It's the Great Pyramid of Cholula. It's entirely filled with hot sauce.
I was literally just going to say, excuse me, hot sauce?
It's in Mexico, in the Mexican state of Puebla.
Tight.
It's only 180 feet tall, which is considerably shorter than the Great Pyramid of Giza. However,
it's the chode.
The base of it is 1,300 by 1,300 feet.
Damn, so it's just a stout.
That pyramid is built like a brick pyramid shit house.
It's very stout pyramid.
Pyramid's got a fat ass.
God damn.
Yeah, so that's the largest pyramid by volume. But you were right. The tallest pyramid is the Great Pyramid at Giza.
Okay.
Which clocks in at 480 something feet.
Do you know the ranking by volume if the one in Mexico is the top and then Giza's next because it's tallest, or is there other ones that are bigger in volume?
That's asking a lot.
All right, sorry. Carry on.
I don't know if they've ever filled the Great Pyramid of Giza with hot sauce in order to measure it. That's the official measuring tool is just
bottles of Cholula.
No, you just got to pump you just got to pump the whole thing full of hot sauce, and then however much you can fit in there is the volume.
It's the scientific way to do it.
Yeah.
It's actually the majority of Cholula's business, even though it's on every breakfast table on the West Coast.
Little known fact, there are thousands of pyramids around the world that are just filled with Cholula.
One archaeologist was like, you know what, I'm going to keep that business afloat.
The pyramid was actually invented as a clever Cholula storage technique.
Guys, this is the best way to measure it, I promise.
They hadn't invented barrels yet, so they had to store all of their hot sauce in pyramids.
I know we're going to talk about like the reasons for pyramids existing and stuff.
Oh, we just did.
But I really want that to be the answer. You know,
they had to put their hot sauce somewhere.
It's majestic. We're talking about, portals to the stars and burials for pharaohs. And I just want it to be like, oh no, we just put grain in here and we put some hot sauce. And that's pretty much it.
It's basically a mixing bowl. Big.
A giant rock mixing bowl.
Yeah, you squash the avocados in the stone thing.
What is that called? A pumice? Yeah,
I thought you were going to say pumpkin. I was like, bro, that is a horrible guess. Yeah, you put the avocados in a pumpkin and then you mash them.
Sounds
you know
like a
what
gross
country?
Recipe.
This is question number 2 on your pyramid quiz. Do you know what country has the most pyramids?
Ooh, country has the most pyramids. Well, okay, I'm going to make a guess, but it's only because of a landmass guess. Is it China?
Ooh, not a bad guess. China does have pyramids.
Okay.
That is incorrect, though.
All right.
Sudan.
Really?
There are approximately 250 pyramids in Sudan.
No way.
Yeah. I was reading about them today, and they have between 200 and 250 pyramids, compared to Egypt only has 138. So Egypt is slacking. And they were built totally separately from the pyramids in Egypt. They were built, they're called the Nubian pyramids.
Cool.
They're steeper. So they, how the Egyptian pyramids, they're at an angle of, it's actually exactly 52 degrees.
As I was going to say, isn't it something like extremely exact mathematically for a reason?
But the Nubian pyramids are at a much steeper angle and they're a lot narrower. So the base is not as wide.
Ooh.
And they're built with stepped stones. So it's not like how the outside surface of the pyramids in Egypt it's smooth basically.
Isn't it only smooth though because they put like a layer or something over the stepped construct?
That I don't know.
I think that's what it is. It's like the actual building blocks themselves are stepped, but then they put like a smoothing sort of, I don't know what you call it, like a mud rock sand agent over the top that smooths it. That's actually part of the reason they don't let people climb it is because it's so brittle now over time that it actually sort of like avalanches or cascades off the sides.
Well, Sudan didn't use those whatever smoothifying agent that was.
Smoothers.
Yeah, no smoothers, no smoothies. They were built by members of the Kingdom of Kush,
Nuh-uh.
an ancient civilization.
Don't lie.
That's their name, bro. 420, bro. Kingdom of Kush.
Hey, if you
do you think that's code for saying that the aliens did it?
I mean, to someone listening right now, yes, absolutely.
we just blow some ancient alien theorist's mind out there.
I hope one of you was inhaling as we said Kingdom of Kush, and you just blew your hit out and guffawed.
As a rule of thumb, that's probably a bad idea to smoke while listening to our podcast.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe it's great. I don't know.
Why not?
I've never done one while smoking weed. Because I feel like it would be just miserable to listen to.
We already get off topic as much as we do without it. So
somebody actually hit me up last week when they were listening to the 2, or I guess it must have been 2 weeks ago, but the 2 episodes about
Secret Societies.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
And he was like, how much weed did you guys smoke during the break in between those two episodes? Because, man, that second one got off to a kind of a rocky start. And I was like, actually, bro,
none.
Exactly none.
Exactly zero.
Exactly none weed was consumed in that recording or any of our recordings so far.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I think, like, if you feel that way listening to us sober, I can only imagine what that show would be like if we were smoking, and it would probably be horrible. But anyway, the Kingdom of Kush, I don't know if they partook or not, but they built a bunch of pyramids between 1000 BC and 350 AD in Sudan.
Say that one more time.
Which part?
That last
The years?
sentence. Yes.
Between 1000 BC and 350 AD, they built roughly 250 pyramids in Sudan.
I had to do that math because it ended up being negative in my brain, and I got confused.
3,000 to 1,500 years ago, in that range, roughly.
That's wild.
Why?
It's just like a long time ago. I mean, I know there were
newer
a
than the
lot of them
pyramids in
were,
Egypt, though.
for sure. One thing.
Also, we keep pushing those dates further and further back the more we learn about them, it seems like.
The pyramids themselves, in terms of when they were
Specifically
created.
the Egyptian ones, yeah.
That's interesting.
Seems like a while ago it was 2,000 years, now it's 3, now and then it's going to be 5. Because what is it now? They say like 3,000 AD or something?
I don't know what the most recent one is.
I think it's something like they're 5,000 years old now, they think, and the Sphinx is probably older. And
yeah, the Sphinx is older. I remember seeing that. I
started watching some Robert Bauval, Graham Hancock stuff today, and
things got out of hand.
I like both of those guys a lot, but it's just so incredibly dry sometimes that, like, even they'll take a topic that should be super fascinating, like the age of various civilizations and how ancient civilizations may have existed prior to the even more ancient civilizations and so on and so forth. And then it'll just be like a guy kind of speaking monotonely for 45 minutes. And
right.
I stopped paying attention.
2560 BC is the most recent semi-agreed upon.
So 4,500 years old, basically?
Yeah, 4,500, 5,000 years-ish if we round up.
So they're like 1,500 years older than the Nubian pyramids?
The Nubian pyramids from the kingdom of
Kush pyramids?
You know, we can get to this later, but one of the things that I thought was most fascinating when I started just kind of top-level reading about pyramids in general, and this is probably going to sound mad dumb, so y'all can roast me on Twitter or in our email inbox, but... You
mean like bread and shit?
Like bread and shit. I think one of the things that's fascinating to me about it is maybe societies can groupthink this type of thing on their own, but during a time where there wasn't a lot of, intercountry travel, much less intercontinental travel, there are many, if not all, other than Antarctica, continents.
No, many continents, bro.
That have some version of pyramids on them.
I think it's all 6 that have people living on them.
Except for Antarctica.
Well, Australian pyramids?
Google
Please hold the phrase Australian pyramids.
Please hold. But just that, is that something that you can groupthink your way into as a common structure? I guess yes.
I would think that physics would sort of dictate that is the easiest way to build a very large structure.
You're right. You're probably right. Yes, definitely also Australia.
We got some Australian ones?
We do.
I know there are Asian pyramids. We're going to talk about those later. Obviously, there are African pyramids. We just talked about 2 of those. Europe have pyramids? We know they're North American ones. We were just talking about Mexico.
For sure, don't they?
I don't know.
There...
I'm not a smart person. South America definitely does.
Yeah, South America definitely does.
Europe would be the only...
Mexico does.
Europe would be the only one I'm a little... They just built circles of stones for some reason. Yo, while you're looking that up, somehow I came across this yesterday. I think it was in just like weird stories to talk about for the Patreon shit. In Kansas, there is a nuclear missile bunker that has been converted into a home, and it's listed on Airbnb.
Cool.
Would you like to take a road trip with me to stay in a nuclear missile silo.
Where is it?
That happens to be located across a field from a stone circle as well.
Where is it?
Kansas. It's like 20 miles south of Topeka.
It sounds kind of murdery.
Like the people who are Airbnb-ing it are just doing it to murder people.
I mean, I'm not trying to like slander those folk on our very public show.
We don't know their names or anything. So,
but I don't know. I mean, it sounds just kind of creepy. You're like, hey, just come down into this airtight, underground complex. That
sure. I get that.
So
I
it looks
still
like
kind of want to do it.
UK, Europe, like possibly pyramids. There are like things that are kind of structure-y but haven't been like traced back to anything specifically.
Yeah, like mounds and stuff or something.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
All right, so most continents. I think your point stands that why do we see these happening all over the world when there wasn't necessarily communication all over the world?
Right. That's kind of my main thought. I guess you're right. The physics thing is important there. That it, like you said, it stands to reason that a wider base to build something taller made sense early on.
Yeah, I think that, and I also would be willing to bet that we underestimate how much communication there really was between and amongst cultures and people.
That far back, though, 2500 BC?
I don't know. I mean, I just wonder what information gets lost to time.
Yeah.
And even if it wasn't direct, maybe stories traveled or
sure
information still could have traveled, because it's not like all of these got built the same day. We're talking like thousands of years passing.
Yeah.
So stories could get relayed, or myths and legends, or I don't know. Or also just like, yeah, I think it is possible that we all basically have the same brain. We may have arrived at the same conclusion about how to build a tall thing.
Sure.
Because it's not like they're all exactly the same either. Mexican and South American pyramids look very different from African pyramids, which look very different from, well, even Egyptian and Sudanese pyramids look very different, and they're, relatively close to each other.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's a good point.
But I do, yeah, it is a little weird that you see the same basic structure all over the world across thousands of years.
I guess, though, too, you could say the same thing for simple sort of building structures like homes or doors or things like that, those kind of all came from...
Why did we all make doors?
Because we had to go in and out and keep out the bad stuff. Keep out the bad guys.
Except those people that make those weird beaded hippie doors.
That's true. Those were not preventing any dangerous animals from coming into your home.
Right. Or like... Yeah, I mean, a lot of cultures and early civilizations made huts of some kind.
Right.
Like, it's probably not any different from that.
Yeah, that's true. It just, I guess it feels different in my mind when I think about the concept of pyramids because of how much like mystique we've put into them.
Right.
And just as a culture and as a society. And I guess some of it is deserved because they are majestic in their own right. And also because we don't know still to this day, like tons about them. Or we know a lot, but we know still, not enough, maybe.
Yeah, we don't know everything for sure.
Right. So maybe that's why there's sort of this mystique around like, ooh, like they're so strange and unique and they're everywhere.
Whereas if you find a spear, you know exactly what it's for.
Right. Yeah.
Why did we all make the same stabby tools? How did everyone know that if you stab a thing, it dies and you can eat it?
Our murder brains were thinking from far away.
Brains. You got any cool Egypt pyramid facts for us? Or which variety of pyramids did you learn about this week?
Pretty much just the Egyptian and the Giza ones, but
all right. The Egyptian and the Giza, huh?
Well, the Giza pyramids, which fall into the larger bucket of Egyptian pyramids.
Pyramids in a bucket.
Big bucket. A big bucket of pyramids. The Egyptian pyramid stuff kind of goes back to what you said. The earliest going back to 2630. Which was not one of the Giza pyramids, but 2630 BC.
I was going to say, that's got to be BC, right?
Yeah, BC.
Did you find some future pyramids?
Oh, future pyramids.
Band name.
I was just going to say, is that a band name?
That's my new synth pop band.
Wait, Future Islands? Is that a band? That's a real band, right?
Probably.
Yeah,
what was the one we just came up with before we started recording?
Sparkling Barf Water.
Yo, if you guys drink coconut LaCroix, fuck you. Turn this podcast off right now. This isn't for you. I'm not giving you free shit if you drink that sparkling, naturally ass-enced butt water.
Let me be very clear.
Butt water.
I drink tons of LaCroix.
Butt water.
Tons of LaCroix.
Just going to keep saying butt water.
I do not
That shit should be illegal.
drink coconut LaCroix.
I love you, LaCroix, but fuck you, LaCroix.
I love you, LaCroix. I do not love you, coconut LaCroix. Okay.
I don't like coconut anything. It's just disgusting.
Sparklingbarfwater.com. We should forward it to the whatifpodcast.com. No, going back to 2600 BC and mostly just that there are somewhere between 120 to 140 identified Egyptian pyramids. The still to this day believed sort of purpose for the Egyptian pyramids, but that it was that they were built as tombs for the country's pharaohs and their valued family members, wives, and
that's contested to some extent, though, isn't it?
It is. I would say that most
that's
people,
contested, isn't that not? Podcast partner Ryan,
isn't it not? It definitely is, but I would say it appears that the largest number of archaeologists sort of think that is the most likely.
Why were some people buried in other places then? Like, wasn't Tut in a different burial, in a different tomb of some sort that was not a pyramid? Wasn't it just like an underground burial chamber?
Yeah, I believe so.
Did there used to be a pyramid there?
Maybe.
Did somebody steal his pyramid?
They didn't steal his gold. They just stole the entire pyramid off the top.
Dude, if you had a full pyramid, can you imagine how expensive that shit would be? What does a pyramid go for on the black market these days?
I don't know. Let's steal one of the Giza pyramids and find out. Guys,
Patreon.com/whatifpodcast if you want to help us steal a pyramid.
Patreon.com/whatifpodcast. You get a free or you get an additional episode of the podcast every single week, and you can
free pyramid.
And you can help us thieve a pyramid
for just $10 a month. You can have a pyramid. We'll ship one to your PO box.
Let's do this. If you get in now and you contribute more, we can just split the pyramid between how many people are contributors. So
it's a literal pyramid scheme that we're starting over on our Patreon page.
If there's 100 people,
if you recruit 5 other members for our Patreon page, we can all go to jail together.
If there's 100 of you, we all get 100th of a pyramid. It'll be awesome. You can put it in your living room. Put your beer koozies on it. It'll be great. But yeah, man, I mean, I don't know, like the generally believed idea is what I said, although yes, it is contested. There's some pretty interesting hieroglyphics that potentially show some of the techniques of how they were made, though this is also sort of up for grabs and contested.
I feel like about once a year somebody claims to have solved it.
About how
National
they were
Geographic makes a little animated video about it, and then they change it 12 months later.
Well, and I think that's the other big mystique piece too, right? To these pyramids.
How highly contested all of it is?
Highly contested, and also the actual construction of them seems a little bit beyond our human imaginations for what we believe to be the rudimentary knowledge and skills and tools that were in their position at the time.
A big part of the problem, though, is like, what do we know that we have that information right about what ancient people were capable of? Like,
we certainly don't.
Is there really a complete record of all of their technology and smarts?
No, of course not.
They were probably just as smart as we are.
I mean,
they had the same brains,
Define smart though, right? Like,
right.
But there are pretty interesting, drawings and hieroglyphic things that show, hundreds and hundreds of men pulling ropes tied to, like chunks of statue and things like that. So
for a while it was the rolling them on logs hypothesis,
right? Which you can also see recreated on the History Channel.
I think the most recent one was they floated them.
I just saw that. That was a recent one, wasn't it?
I think that was the one that a year ago. They're like, forget everything you know about how the pyramids were built.
Yeah,
they were wet.
Boat pyramids. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's another part of
boat pyramids.
I did say boat pyramids.
Okay, cool.
That's another part of the mystique, though. I think, right, is that even even giving them the most credit that we could possibly give people who were alive in 2600 BC, the fact that they were able to carve very geometrically perfect chunks of rock that weighed tens, if not 20s of tons, and travel them over long places and arrange them in such a way feels kind of crazy.
Real quick, it's approximately the Great Pyramid of Jesus Christ. The Great Pyramid of Giza is made of approximately 2 million individual stones, each weighing between 5,000 and 33,000 pounds.
Crazy.
So that's 2.5 to 15-ish tons.
Yeah.
So yeah, moving 2 million rocks that each weigh multiple tons, if not tens of tons, does seem a little insane. But we don't know, we don't really know how long it took to build them, right?
We don't.
It could have been a 500-year project. We don't know.
Yeah, as far as we know, the vast majority of the Egyptian pyramids were built between 2670 BC and 664 BC.
Dude, that's 1,500 years.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It's like 20-some generations of people making one building.
Right.
No wonder it's crazy.
Sorry, I'm saying that's through all of the major pyramid complexes.
Making 150 buildings. Yeah.
Right. And also, too, when we say that the initial one, the furthest back we can date it, is to like 2670, that's still kind of an archaeological guess.
Yeah, that number has changed many times and probably will change again.
And we don't know when it was started versus when it was finished either.
Right. I guess that's what I'm saying is that could have been one individual pyramid could have been a 300 or 500 year project. Which if you think about what we could do with 500 years and probably hundreds of thousands of people working on one project now.
Right.
It would be cooler than a pyramid. That's for sure.
Right.
So, it is fascinating, and it is fascinating partially because we know so little about them still.
Right.
And will probably continue to be that way for a while because of, I think we talked about this a little bit last week, right? With all the politics that go into studying the pyramids in Egypt.
I think that was on our Patreon episode.
Was it? Okay. Well, to summarize, there are a lot of politics around who has access to the pyramids and what part of them. And you can't obviously destroy or even alter any part of the pyramids to access other parts. So we were talking about the quote unquote void that was found inside the Great Pyramid at Giza last week. But you can't drill through any part of it to access it or even put a camera into it. And so it's going to remain mysterious for the foreseeable future because we just don't have access to what we would need to get that information.
Right.
But really, the whole, I don't know, I've always thought the aliens or any of the paranormal, mystical angles are just kind of dumb.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anytime that your theory is based on not giving ancient people any credit for being smart or resourceful, I don't buy any of those theories.
So totally, what was the tons of the number of tons of quarried stone for
each
Great
individual
Pyramid?
stone was between 2 and 15 tons, and there were approximately 2 million of them.
Christ,
just on the Great Pyramid.
Christ.
So I don't know how to do that. They're somewhere between 4 and 30 million tons.
Sure. One of the interesting things that I stumbled across was the other thing about it too is we have a hard time envisioning a workforce that could have created such a thing because there isn't really anything in our current society that we have such a vast amount of people working on tirelessly at the same time in the same place.
We do. They're just not physical things anymore.
Well, right. I guess that's what I mean.
How many people show up to work at Google every day?
Right. No, for sure. I mean more like people focused on building one thing in one location at the same time.
Right. I'm just saying it's not like our accomplishments are not measured solely in what we can physically make anymore.
Right. Yes. I guess what I'm saying is the difficulty in sometimes we go, it must be something supernatural because it's so crazy. But I think part of that is because we can't actually envision, some of the estimates from researchers is that for the Great Pyramid specifically in Egypt, they had somewhere in the realm of 35 to 50,000 men working every single day for tens, if not hundreds of years to build these things. And if you think about
what could you do if your entire city stopped for the next 10 years and all did the same thing every day?
Right. Like imagine our college football stadium here is TCF Bank Stadium and it holds 55,000 people. Like imagine that stadium full of people were grown men who were trained like laborers, and they every day went to work quarrying and carrying stone. That's all they did.
And then their kids did, and then their kids did, and then their kids did. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you could build some wild shit.
Right.
We could finally make that space elevator.
Yeah. Yes.
That would be my first choice.
Let's create a sign up. We'll get some volunteers.
Just a really big rope ladder.
Are you willing to leave your life to create a space ladder that takes us to see the curve?
Damn it.
All right, let's take a quick break and we'll come back and we're gonna talk a whole bunch more pyramid stuff. What do you got coming up next for pyramid?
We're gonna talk about Chinese pyramids, my guy.
Chinese,
the Great White Pyramids.
The Great White Pyramid. Is that really what it's called?
Yeah. Chris Farley built it.
Chris Farley built it, or the Sharks.
We'll be back in just a moment.
It's the What If Podcast.
We want to hear from you. Send us a message. Email hi, that's hi, at whatifpodcast.com.
Oh, hi. Thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
Ryan, what do you know about the Great White Pyramid of China?
It sounds like a shark or Beverly Hills Ninja or...
Dude, Beverly Hills Ninja.
Is it made out of ivory?
No, but an ivory pyramid is amazing.
I mean, except that it would be like disastrous
that only comes
to
from
an animal
elephants, doesn't
species,
it?
wouldn't it?
Damn, I forgot
I
where that
think,
stuff
does
comes.
ivory only come from elephant tusks? God, I'm dumb. Fuck. God. How do we...
I love when you get halfway through saying something out loud and then realize that like it's just real stupid,
It's like
but
the
you're also
dumbest thing I've ever
but you're
said.
also genuinely curious.
No, like
Your curiosity just barely outweighs your embarrassment of
my
asking
embarrassment
the
of asking a real question. The wild shit is like, I don't say this with any ego, but like generally speaking, I'm an okay enough intelligence like level person. And I've evidenced
That
this
sentence would like
by
to-
the way that I said that what I just said.
That sentence would imply otherwise.
Generally, I was, you know what it was? I was trying to not be like, I'm pretty fucking smart most days.
Anywho,
Anyway, is it made of ivory or not? Just tell me the truth.
no, it's not. It's not. The elephants rejoice. There are many pyramids in China, which I didn't know until fairly recently.
By which you mean until we started researching this episode?
I had heard about it before, but I never really bothered to figure out what was going on with them. It's just like it's a if you spend enough time reading about and listening to conspiracy things, this is one that comes up sooner or later.
Chinese pyramids?
Yeah.
Why do they have to be a conspiracy?
Well, we'll get to that in a second. The Great White Pyramid is a myth or a legend, if you will.
I got so excited.
Well, there's always a bit of truth to myths and legends and such.
Dip.
But there are at least 100 actual Chinese pyramids. Most of them are within about a 50-mile radius of the city of Xi'an in the Shanxi province of central China.
Okay.
So they're all pretty close together, and those are very much real.
Okay.
They
are not a myth.
They look like mounds because stuff has grown over them for the most part, but they are very much real. They are mostly shorter. They're about 150 feet tall. Most of them are.
Okay.
Compared to about 480 feet tall, which is the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Got it.
So they're smaller, wider base, and they are, I think, slightly younger too. They're built in the 1 to 2000 BC range.
Okay.
So older than the Kingdom of Kush, but younger than Giza.
Got it.
The Great White Pyramid was rumored to be, or is rumored to be, approximately 1,000 feet tall, which would make it more than twice as tall as the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Hence the, is it mythical or not?
Yes. The first alleged sighting of the Great White Pyramid happened in 1912, when a gentleman named Fred Meyer Schroeder reported seeing an enormous white pyramid. He was a travel agent and trader, so he was, I believe, an American gentleman who would go to China to trade stuff.
Okay.
Not like traitor, but trader.
Trader, yes.
And he was walking in the Shanxi province, where most of the actual pyramids are located.
All right.
This was 1912. And he reported seeing one giant pyramid amongst the many smaller pyramids. And he said, quote, in his journal, "It was even more uncanny than if we had found it in the wilderness," he wrote. "But those pyramids were to some extent exposed to the eyes of the world, but still totally unknown in the Western world." Meaning that in China, people knew about the pyramids near Xi'an, but the Western world did not know that there were any pyramids there. And he thought it was entirely plausible that we would not have known that there was one giant pyramid that he saw.
Okay.
He estimated that the largest pyramid was roughly 1,000 feet tall, and each side of the pyramid was about 1,500 feet long. That would give the pyramid of volume about 10 times bigger than that of the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Damn.
It's a lot of Cholula.
It's a whole lot of Cholula.
He estimated, his guide estimated that the pyramids were about 3,000 years old. I don't know where that number comes from, other than allegedly an old Chinese guy said it.
Okay. I was going to say.
So, but that would kind of fit with the general age range of the other actual pyramids that actual archaeologists have studied.
In China.
Yeah. In that same region.
So, maybe they just passed it down.
The story disappeared for about 30 years, and people, I guess, assumed that Fred was just making shit up.
Tripping balls.
Yeah.
Or he was like,
or that.
Or he was just like looking at a mountain.
That's a big hill.
It's a snow-capped peak. It's white. He's like, big white pyramid.
It's the Great White Pyramid.
Fred.
The Great White Pyramid.
Fred, is Fred Sean Connery? Did Fred become Sean Connery?
I imagine anyone who goes...
Sean Connery definitely plays Fred in whatever Great White Pyramid movie we're talking about.
Whatever
right
Great White Pyramid 90s movie.
We just invented.
Sean Connery doesn't play anybody now. Is he alive?
Wow. Oh, man. Sean Connery is totally alive.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sean Connery's not dead.
Dude, we were talking about Manu.
Shit, I hope. God, if Sean Connery died, I'm going to be, okay. He's 87, so he's probably not doing a lot, but he's definitely still alive.
If they put a number next to you, though, that usually means you're still alive.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because that means you don't have a dead date.
Right. Second sighting of the Great White Pyramid was about 30 years later in 1945.
Okay.
By James Gaussman. And he was an Army pilot. I guess that makes you an Air Force pilot, but maybe the Air Force, I don't know. He flew planes and killed people and stuff.
Was he American?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I actually just noticed recently that other countries like designate that differently. Like they don't necessarily have an Air Force or an Air Force equivalent. They have like Army pilots.
Right. No, he's from this country, and I just don't know how stuff works. Mm-hmm. This was 1945, and an American gentleman named James was flying an airplane. And he was,
get him, James. Go get him.
His airplane probably had guns on it. He was flying from China to India.
Okay.
And he reported seeing a huge white jewel-capped pyramid. So maybe you're onto something with the snow on a mountain in the southwest of Xi'an. He wrote, quote, "I flew around a mountain. And then we came to a
But it kind of looked like a pyramid, so I don't know.
But then I saw another mountain with jewels on it. We came to a valley. Directly below us was a gigantic white pyramid. It looked as if it were from a fairy tale. The pyramid was draped in shimmering white. It could have been metal or some other form of stone. Hey, James, metal is not a stone. It was white on all sides. What was most curious about it was its capstone, a large piece of precious gem-like material. I was deeply moved by the colossal size of the thing."
Whoa, crazy. What a weird thing
Right?
Like I was actually just thinking when you read the first account and this one 30 years later, which is pretty hugely
33 actually, if we're being exact.
Hugely separated. But they're both very specific things to write down.
Which part?
Well, both accounts, I don't know. I generally, and maybe it's wrong to do so, but sometimes I feel like I give more credence to accounts that are more specific in nature. And both of these two seem very specific in their detailing of like the thing that they encountered.
Sort of.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, more so to the first one, to Fred Schroeder's. But James says a gigantic white pyramid looked like it was from a fairy tale. That doesn't tell me anything. Draped in shimmering white. That could be snow, my guy. It could have been metal or some other form of stone. You don't know what metal or stone is, apparently. It was white on all sides. I guess that's sort of specific. And then the capstone was a large piece of precious gem-like material, which could be almost anything. I'm inferring that you mean it was shiny is really all I can get from that.
Probably. But I mean, like, even something like referring...
Doesn't even say what color it was.
Yeah. But even referring to something as a pyramid in its own right, I mean, I'm joking about the mountain thing, but like a pyramid, you would...
It's not a bad guess so far.
I mean, I don't know. Wouldn't you think that someone who is detailing something and referring to it as a pyramid would go, this has 4 sides to it? Like, I have to imagine that.
He's also seeing it from the air, though.
That's true.
Which makes me really question how well you would be able to estimate the height of something if you're looking directly down onto it.
But you're also an experienced flyer. I mean, I don't know.
How often are you seeing pyramids, though?
Not very.
Right.
I don't know.
How would you estimate the height of a pyramid if you were looking at it from directly above?
I suppose, too, you don't have any like man-made contextual things to put against it either, so
right?
it'd be tougher to do. Yeah. All right.
I don't know.
All right.
2 years later in 1947, and this one got a little more traction with the press at least, Colonel Maurice Sheehan reported seeing a pyramid in the same area. He was the director of Trans World Airlines, and he was flying over a valley near the Qinling Mountains, approximately 40 miles southwest of Xi'an.
Okay.
So again, basically the same area. There are indeed mountains nearby.
Okay.
He saw what he described as a giant pyramid in the landscape below. His encounter was reported in the New York Times, and I actually found this article today, March 28th of 1947.
Wow.
The New York Times ran an article that basically just rewrote his account of seeing this giant pyramid.
Interesting.
In the article, he says that he saw a pyramid that was about 1,000 feet high and about 1,500 feet wide, which is the exact same dimensions that were described in earlier reports, which seems crazy if you're estimating. If you have 2 people try and estimate the size of an object, you are going to get different answers. Yeah, usually.
No doubt.
And he said it, quote, dwarfed those of Egypt. 2 days later, the New York Times ran a photo of the supposed pyramid, which allegedly was taken from the air and was later attributed to James Gaussman, who had reported seeing the pyramid in 1945.
Interesting.
Chinese archaeologists responded to say that there was not any such pyramid in the area. The photograph that was published was not white, A. It was not jewel-capped, and it did not appear to be 1,000 feet high. And there's some discrepancy or uncertainty about whether this was supposed to be a photo of the actual pyramid that both Gaussman and Sheehan saw, or if the New York Times was like, we need a picture of a pyramid and we have this file photo of a pyramid.
Sure.
Let's stick it in there.
Someone took this and it's in our archives somewhere for some reason.
Right. And in the 40s, they weren't as careful about attributing photographs to people and making sure photographs were of the thing that they were supposed to be of.
Yeah, close enough. Close enough. We got.
He said it's a pyramid. This looks like a pyramid.
Run it, Shane. We've got a deadline to meet here, and it's got enough pyramid to me.
I love that you were getting roasted on Twitter for your
my shit impressions.
Yeah,
you know what?
Your 40s newsy, I'm sure, is going to go go over really well.
I fucking nailed it. I fucking nailed 40s Newsy. I dare you. Fuck with me, Jose.
I was going to say it's mostly one dude, but we can call him out if you want.
I was playing.
The photo was later identified as a well-known burial mound, the Maoling burial mound, which is the tomb of Emperor Wu Han. Got you all in check because he's the emperor.
That's what all the gongs say on them.
They say Wuhan?
That's like a very WUHAN is like a super popular gong brand.
Well, they're named after a Chinese emperor, apparently.
Wuhan!
So that was not, in fact, a photo of a Great White Pyramid.
Cheaters.
But if you want to see that, you can look on Google Maps, I learned today, or Google Earth, and find aerial photos of a lot of these pyramids in China. And if you can, we're breaking stuff. Our salt lamp is flickering. Our studio is haunted.
Oh, God.
What's happening?
I got real scared.
We started talking about pyramids and the lamp started flickering.
Is it the ring?
There's not a well in this room, is there? Turn the TV off, quick. Dude, that movie...
We should stop watching this static over in the corner.
I haven't figured out how to turn that TV off. It's just always on when we're recording. We started talking about pyramids and everything went to shit. That movie scared, while you're trying to fix whatever I just broke over there, that movie scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
I saw The Ring in the theater and regretted it instantly.
I probably saw it, I think I saw it at like a middle school party, like one of those, it wasn't really acceptable to go do things in public with girls, but you could like all hang out at somebody's house if their mom was upstairs or something.
Sure. Like you couldn't date, but you could be in mixed company.
Because we were like 13, and it was weird. You also couldn't go do anything without your parents still. But a bunch of us watched The Ring together and I immediately regretted it.
You were trying to be like, nah, I'm cool, I got this, and instead you were like, hold me.
End up in my dude buddy's lap halfway through the movie, just
or the girl you were trying to impress,
sobbing into his hoodie.
Honey, hold me. She's like, I don't even know you like that.
Anyway,
all right, give me Google Earth.
Don't unplug our hard drive or things are really going to get bad.
All right, well, that definitely appears to be a pyramid.
Right, it is indeed a pyramid, but how in the goddamn fuck could you estimate the height of that thing looking at it on Google Images? Because that's basically what you would see flying over it, because that's how that photo was taken. There's no way in hell you could guess how tall that is.
Well,
it could be flat.
But you're talking about satellite photos that are taken from directly up, way up. You're talking about cats who are probably flying in like lower level planes and shit like that.
I guess you would have an angle on it.
You'd have it
somewhere in your approach.
Yeah.
Good point. If you want to, look at you tilting the horizon and such.
Oh yeah, I know how to 3D my Google Maps.
And it looks surprisingly flat though. What's going on?
Well, it does have a pretty fat base.
I don't see a curve anywhere, even when you zoom out.
This is trippy. How do people look this up?
I'll tweet a link to it.
Okay, we'll tweet a link to the coordinates.
The coordinates.
The coordinates.
If you see just like some weird coordinates on our Twitter account, click on it. You'll see a pyramid. It's weird.
Well, so what's the purpose of this thing?
That is the burial mound of Wuhan.
Oh, it is officially that.
Well, I mean, according to Chinese archaeologists, unless they're lying to us.
I know.
Unless there's a cover up afoot.
I believe them. Damn. I mean, it does look, when you look at it in the context of the things around it, it does look pretty wide.
Dude,
like
keep
this is
zooming
like
out. How fucking big is China? Good Lord.
So big. So very
Dude,
big.
I'm going to spend like the next week and a half looking at Chinese Google Maps. Sorry, guys.
This was why
the podcast is canceled for the next 3 weeks. I'm busy.
We've got work to do. This is why my assumption that China would have the most pyramids was what it was, just based on like the pure play volume of square footage that they have.
Well, and also it's super, super old. Chinese culture has been around uninhibited for thousands and thousands of years.
Not as long as Egyptian culture, but
I'm just saying that you would think it would be comparable in that way, at least.
Right. Sure. Crazy, man.
Yeah, it's interesting too, like how little information there was for a long time, like in the modern era, just because China like didn't really let anyone do anything. And now we're finally getting a little more information and photos and satellite images and scientific sharing of information and ideas.
Sure.
That, I mean, it's still limited, but it was non-existent for a while there.
Right. Well, that's the crazy thing about satellite imagery too, right? Is that like you can say like, hey, don't look at our country, and it's
I don't know.
well,
Can you get satellite images of, if we scroll over a little bit? Can I get North Korea? I don't think I can.
What do you mean?
Can I get satellite images of North Korea?
Yeah.
Can I really?
Why not?
I don't know.
Google's not for they block Google in their country, but Google satellites fly over North Korea. You can't go
How
street.
close can I get?
You can't go street view. That's for sure.
Yeah, you're right. There are. Wow. Yeah, sure enough. There are certain parts of the world that are blocked out, though, aren't they?
Yeah, but isn't that always through like governmental
blurred?
treatise? Like you can't see Area 51 on Google Maps because like the
I think
government.
now you can actually. Now that it's declassified.
What do you mean?
I think they've updated it with new images in the last few years.
Really?
Yeah, all the important shit's on the ground anyway.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm pretty sure you
learn
can.
anything from seeing the building structures.
I found a big, really brown-looking lake in North Korea.
It's their water well. It's brown.
No, it's called.
A lot of brown water.
It's called No Dong Joseph.
Is it coconut? Is it coconut LaCroix?
No, it's No Dong Joe.
Brown water.
It's an unfortunate name.
It is.
Hopefully, it's just the name of a lake and not a dude.
Crazy man. Anything else? Pyramid.
Well, I just
pyramid related.
I guess we were talking
right.
Just to wrap up on the Great White Pyramid.
Yeah.
What is it then? Because like the thing that I just showed you, and you can look at our Twitter for a link to it. It's clearly not what those guys were describing.
Right.
It is not white. It is not jewel capped, and unless it's changed significantly in the last. I mean, I guess it's possible. It was 70 years ago now, but even at the time, they were saying no, it's this burial mound. Which just if you look at it, it looks like a pyramid shaped hill. It's covered in dirt and grass and stuff.
Yeah, and it's much wider than it is tall.
Yeah, it's not at all what was described by three separate people over the span of 30 years.
Yeah.
What did they see?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Right? Like, you would think something that's 8 to 10 times taller than everything else should be pretty obvious.
Right.
Because even that burial mound is about the same height as other pyramids in the area, which these people also said that they saw, but there was one that was damn near 10 times higher.
Right. And they made specific note of the one that appeared to them to be drastically different.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I mean, I think your mountain theory is not terrible.
That like in low weather conditions, if you're in the right location, you could potentially see a mountain and think it's a pyramid. I don't know. That just
all these pyramids are in a valley, kind of surrounded by mountains. I don't know what the climate is like. I'm sure if you get, and I don't know how tall these mountains are, but I would guess some of them get snow from time to time.
I'm also sure China gets a winter of some kind. It's a big enough country that depending on where you are.
Right. This is not super far north into China, so I don't exactly know. But I would also assume that if you fly airplanes for a living, you know what a mountain with snow on it looks like.
For sure. And also, I would stand by my earlier statement too, that like, if you've flown planes long enough, you can generally guess the size and shape of things, and
at least within a couple factors. You know, you're not going to say something that's 200 feet tall is 2,000 feet tall.
Right.
You're going to be.
And when you see a snow-capped mountain, you can designate that differently from a white pyramid-shaped, jewel-topped pyramid. Like that's a very
think so, right?
Yeah, like that's like, and that's what I think. Kind of what I mean when I was saying the specificity of that is enough for me to go, that's fucking weird. What are you doing?
So then does one person make it up for a goof or for prosperity's sake? And then other people,
if they've read it or heard about it, or
other people continue the legends,
the lore. I don't know. I mean, we've talked so many times on the show about how things sort of build and somehow last and maintain for no good reason.
But then you got people,
or for some reason,
you got military
not no good.
People in the military and professional commercial pilots and the New York Times all in on a prank. That doesn't seem very likely.
No, it certainly doesn't.
It's weird, dude.
It's very weird.
And that's another one that we're probably not going to ever really learn the answer to, if there is one.
Right. Well, and it goes back to kind of, I think, all the stuff about pyramids in general, like you said, with specifically as it relates to the Egyptian stuff, where it's like we have a limited amount of knowledge as it stands about a lot of these pyramids in a lot of these countries, and we have a limited ability to get more knowledge based on the existing structures and restrictions and laws and preservation attempts.
Or the fact that they might not exist.
Or that complicates things as well.
They might be mythical.
Right. And so that's like, to me, I guess that's also partially what complicates and goes back to the mystique thing earlier about pyramids in general, is it's like, we don't know a lot and we can't necessarily know more about a lot of them.
At least not anytime soon, yeah.
Yeah. And two, I think it also goes back to the whole concept of like something being created in a time where we don't necessarily understand the scope of how something was created or could be created.
We don't have the right context to understand it either.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about this off air over the break, but like the whole concept of thousands, if not tens of thousands of people working on separate elements to build a thing over generations, like multiple generations of humanity.
Right. Oh yeah, we were going to talk about the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah, like that concept is a thing that we as human beings, like especially in America, right? Our country's been around for a few hundred years. We don't even, it's hard for us to grasp the concept of working on one thing for 300 years and maintaining focus on one thing for 300 years.
Right.
It's does not compute. So when we see that possibility happen especially with a mass of people, a stadium's worth of people doing that for 300 years, it's like, there's no way we could do that. But that's just because we don't have a contemporary example of creation in that exact way.
Like, this shit is crazy to me. And it's fairly recent considering the scale of what we have been talking about. And it's a fairly short amount of time. But the Brooklyn Bridge was started in 1869.
Yeah.
And wasn't finished until 1883. It took almost 15 years to build a bridge, which now seems insane. If you're going to pitch a 15-year construction project.
Right.
And like a bunch of people died and thousands of people worked on it.
I bet, especially in that time period, like the tools and technology we had available to us.
And you're working underwater a lot of the time to get all the supports down into the bedrock and stuff.
Right.
And I believe the dude who designed it actually died during construction of it.
Wow.
Not necessarily because, like, not in an accident or anything.
Just because of his age or whatever at the time.
And his son finished the project.
Wow.
So even that seems crazy now, and that's 15 years. We're talking about hundreds and maybe thousands of years with some of these things.
Right.
And we just don't have the frame of reference to understand what that would look like.
For sure. It's a scope of greatness that we can't necessarily wrap our heads around, that not greatness as in like amazingness, although I do think they are genuinely amazing. There's some fantastic documentaries about how mathematically and like precisely curated some of these things are.
Yeah, we didn't get deep into any of the
not even a little bit.
The specific weirdness of especially the pyramids at the Plateau of Giza. But yeah, there's so much information out there, and yet it always seems like it's speculative, or one bit of information just results in 10 more questions about like, well, now that we know this, I'm less certain about this, or we have to reframe the date of this, or I thought it was built with rolling logs, but now maybe it was some sort of aqueduct thing, or maybe it was just 400 guys with ropes, or it seems like every time we get some new information, it's just, it leads to a bunch more questions, like the void above the...
Yeah, we talked about this on the Patreon episode, but in the main...
I was tweeting about it and stuff too a while ago.
Oh, yeah. But in the Great Pyramid of Giza, they used a new technology that's like sort of radar-esque in its nature to identify the fact that there's like a whole giant open void, like another sizable, maybe the biggest, it would be the biggest room that...
Of the three that we know about so far.
Of the three that we know about, it would be the biggest room inside of the Pyramid of Giza. And we literally don't know how to access it from inside of the pyramid.
We would just have to break some shit on the way, and that's super illegal.
Right.
And who knows what little bit of structural damage could result in
massive structural damage.
For a 5,000-year-old building, yeah,
Right.
who knows what you're dealing with. So
And that in its own right is just a perfect example of like the fact that 5,000 years after their construction, we're learning new shit about these things.
But that new piece of information, now I'm less certain about all of it. Like,
Right.
there's a big void inside of that building. Well, great. Now I know less than I did a minute ago.
What in there though?
Right. Like that doesn't tell me anything.
Oh, these are definitely like to bury people. Yeah. How about that room that's bigger than all the fucking rooms in here?
And how about the fact
What's
that there
in
were
there?
no people in here when you found it?
Right.
That's not meaningful.
Yeah.
But they buried 0 people in here. Okay. There were a couple real weird things that I meant to get to earlier.
All right.
Yeah, we got like 3 minutes, whatever.
All right.
Make our own schedule. We are our own bosses.
We grown now. Walk with us. We grown now.
Underground pyramids.
Ooh.
In Mexico City, there is a proposal to build an underground pyramid. So
What?
basically,
What does that even mean?
Okay, so take a regular pyramid shape, right? Just flip it upside down, and instead of building up into the air, the widest base is at the ground level, and then it gets narrower as it goes further underground.
Whoa.
And they wanted to build, this architectural firm in Mexico wants to build it in like the main square of Mexico City.
Whoa.
And the ceiling of the building / at ground level would be glass, so you could see down into it.
Whoa.
And it'd be
Trippy.
Yeah, Mexico and Mayans built lots of pyramids, and so
Right.
it'd be referential to their history and their culture. And then they said, quote, to dig down through the layers of cities to uncover our roots. And so it would be like
Interesting.
shopping and office space and just sort of like whatever else you would normally have in your downtown area.
That's cool.
But it would be underground and it would be a pyramid.
And it would be an inverted pyramid?
Yes.
Huh.
So the widest part would be the ground level, and then as you go further down, it would get narrower and narrower
Crazy.
to a point eventually.
Crazy.
And somebody has a crazy pyramid-shaped office at the very bottom where
Yeah.
they can't stand because it's just a point.
And it gets one square of light that comes all the way from the top of the pyramid.
They probably have electricity, bro.
No, but I'm saying like one square of daylight is what comes down
no,
to him.
yeah, you wouldn't get any.
Glass on glass on glass all the way down though.
Like all the floors would also be glass.
just through the center.
No one can ever wear dresses to work.
Oh right. I didn't think about that.
Just looking at people's butts all day while you're doing your job.
Womp womp.
It was going to cost $800 million and it's stalled, but it would be kind of tight.
Yeah.
There was also a proposal I think this was in the 40s, to build a giant pyramid in the middle of London, an above ground, regular shaped pyramid.
Okay.
That was going to be a mausoleum. They were going to build a giant cemetery in the middle of downtown London, and it was going to
Whoa.
be a pyramid.
Whoa.
And the people said, no, thank you.
Hey, bro, we don't really want to look at a bunch of dead bodies in a triangle.
Hey, what's creepier than a pyramid? I don't know, one full of your dead friends?
A lot of them. A vast amount
What
of
if everybody
dead
you
humans.
know is inside it but also dead?
That sounds worse.
What if we filled it with ghosts?
Ew. Ew. Yuck.
Ghosts are icky. All right, well, Ghost Pyramid. That's going to be our new band. We'll see you guys next week.
Ghost Pyramid, sparkling barf water, and we had one other one. I don't even know.
Couldn't tell you.
We got to start a lot of bands. Thank y'all for listening. To those of you who have continued to leave iTunes reviews, fucking thanks. You guys say some really nice shit about us, and we're embarrassed about how nice you've been.
I'm going to do a selfish thing for those of you that are still listening.
Go ahead.
All right. If you live in Minneapolis on December 9th, please come hang out with both Ryan and I will be at Ice House. I'm going to be playing some music and hanging out. I got a new record coming out. It's called Most Days. If you've ever heard any of the music on our podcast, you've heard like 300 of my songs.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use this last 30 seconds of the podcast to promote my own music. Big Cats, Most Days, comes out December 8th. Come hang out with us on December 9th at Ice House. I'm going to be selling a bunch of my weird books about aliens and stuff, and we'll talk to you about Bigfoot if you want.
We totally will do that. We'll even write our name in there, and we'll write you a message about Robot Grandma.
Ryan and I are going to be autographing Jim Marr's books live at Ice House December 9th.
But I'm gonna write it. But I'm gonna write Jim Mars's name, not my own name.
R.I.P. Jim Mars.
I
I picked the one guy who died recently. That's fucked up.
We're
doing a book signing of other people's UFO books
Yes.
live at Ice House December 9th.
My name is David Icke.
I don't have any of his books. That dude sucks.
That's good.
Be signing a bunch of Dave Paulides books.
Yeah, but go get Spencer's new record for sure. Like for real, if you've enjoyed any of the music between shit, we don't steal other people's music. We just use our own music and Spencer's music and other people's music that Spencer's made shit for. So that came from his brain. So go support his ass. And thanks for supporting our asses. And we love y'all and we appreciate y'all. We're gonna get the fuck out of here and we're gonna see you next week.
We'll be back next week with another episode of the What If Podcast. Learn more at www.whatifpodcast.com.